So I didn't show you guys how to make the Oleo struts, but they were pretty self-explanatory. But I want to just show you what it looks like when it's done. Um, these were pieces that were cut out of the plan, and what you needed to do was first show you the different pieces. So the strut is that piece of rolled paper. It's rolled around a piece of wire, and the wire was given as a tip of the wire for where the wheel goes. And then these are the wheel covers. There's a gray side and a blue side, so those are sandwiched together. And then one more piece is the little scissor piece, that little piece right there, that V. And that's a piece that would have connected the Oleo strut where it would actually move and give you shock. Then the whole thing is just glued with super glue right into two holes that are in the wheel wells. And it just worked absolutely perfectly. So you wrap the piece of paper that the Oleo struts around, and it's just like the wheel hubs. It's got those weird extra pieces that wrap around and make little ridges. And then the only other worrisome thing is make sure the fit looks right going forward. You make sure it's not towed in or something, and you make sure you got the right angle there going through the leading edge. And that's really all there was to it. I forgot to record it, but that's why. So now the next step is to turn the wheels. And you should recall they were sandwich pieces of cardboard. I put them into my little Dremel tool, and it acts like a little lathe. So there's the other wheel, just to show you, remember what it looks like. And you just make sure it's straight. And you take some sandpaper, you turn this on very low speed, not real high, but enough so it's obviously spinning. And now you take your sandpaper, and you just very delicately touch it to the edges, and you're trying to round the edges so you get a contour that looks like a tire. The cardboard and the paper sands beautifully, just like wood, and it gets very smooth. You can kind of see in the pictures. I also cut it come around the back side and do the same thing. It doesn't take long to do this. There's parts here that are going to be sped up, but this whole process per wheel took about 5 minutes max. But I'm just trying to smooth these out. They get marginally smaller in diameter, but not a lot. This also evens everything out, so they're perfectly circular, which is really nice. So at this point, all I'm doing is testing and trying to make sure it's right. I'm trying to get into where the hub is to try to get everything nice. Here I take a piece of plastic that I've attached a piece of sandpaper to with some super glue in an attempt to get it into the inside portions of the hubs, so kind of like the rim. And I'm just very carefully trying to contour it so that it looks nice, and so it isn't an abrupt square edge. Just again, so it looks more like a tire that on your bicycle, for instance, that goes in on the corner. You can also, as I end up doing here, use a little piece of the sandpaper and do the same thing. I put it into a really small square, and I'm able to use it just like that other piece. And I check it with the other, make sure it's okay. And then I come back with some lighter grade sandpaper, finer, and just sort of finish sand it. I go all the way around in that interior of the hub, around the outside edge. It's almost like putting rouge on something. If you've used that on a lathe, if you're doing polishing plastic or something. And you just go around and smooth it out, and this will paint up, I think, very, very well. And you'll end up with some really nice tires, and these look every bit as good as something you'd get again in a plastic kit. If you wanted to, you could actually fill them with primer and sand them even more and really, really get them beautiful. But for this, I think this is going to be just perfect. And so I did the other one exactly the same, and you end up with two little wheels that look really, really nice, that are going to look great on the airplane. They're not so blocky. You can see the comparison there. And don't worry about the colors, because we're going to paint these things anyway. So that looks really, really good. Super pleased. So then the next step was to work on the hubs. Now, I thought the hubs were going to be really dumb. The hubs are these little pieces I've cut out, and they fit. They're just a single layer of paper, but they fit into the center of each wheel, the little star-shaped pieces. And I thought they'd look really kind of one-dimensional, but they don't. They're just enough to make it look cool. Now over the tops of the middles go these little tiny circles here that are going to cover that white spot in this middle of the spoke. I wanted to show you how I do that. I use a hole punch, and gets a really nice, if the punch is the right size, which in this case it ended up, luckily it was. Find the right piece, the right size. I slide this in, and you kind of get it all nice and even, and make sure it's nice and centered. And then you very carefully put it down so it doesn't move. You put your punch into the hole. You take a suitable instrument. I use a pair of pliers, that's all I had handy, and just give it a couple taps. And you can feel it break through, and there's the little circular piece. And now it's a nice, perfect little circle. You didn't have to cut anything. And that little thing will fit right into the center when it's time. Right like that. So, do it again. Find the other side. It's okay that you don't see this that well because it's just more of the same. Put that in center. This one I had a little more trouble getting it in center to make it right. Although it doesn't matter that much because again I'm going to paint these anyway. But I still wanted to get it to look a little bit better. So I took my time, tried to center it up, and it turned out that it was a good idea to do that. So I take my punch, put it in, hold it down, give a tap, and out pops the other side, the cut piece. So now, it takes me 20 minutes to pick this thing up. I tried to lick the tweezers and that didn't work. So ultimately I gave up and took an X-Acto blade and turned it over. There we go. So now the next part was to put a little glue down, and what I ended up doing was, in this case it's so small and delicate, put your glue on something else, a piece of paper, and use that as your applicator. Take something fine, and in my case it turned out I ended up just putting it right in the center and right on where each of the spokes would go. You don't put too much on. You want it to glue, you want it to stick, but you don't want to go crazy. And so kind of carefully do it so that it's nice and even. You want to make sure that all the spokes get attached. And then you just very carefully take one of these, put it in the center, and I sort of put it on the hub piece first, made sure it was lined up, made sure that was glued in the center, and then I went down individually and just touched the edge where the little star centerpiece touches the rim of the tire. And it really does look convincing. When I paint these and dry brush them, it'll just be a little bit of raised component of a spoke, and it'll look awesome. I'm really pleased. I thought I'd have to do a lot more to make that work. Now to finish it off, just a tiny dab of glue right in the center, a little teeny bit, and then I take my X-Acto blade, lick it with my tongue there, and just pop it in the center. And that's all there is to it. Now when you press down a little bit, I notice there's a little bit of glue oozing out, so I take my X-Acto blade and I kind of clean up the edges. Again, the glue is very easy to clean up, not a big deal at all, and it'll look just fine when you're done. And basically that's it. Now I'm trying to show, I hope this turns out, a close-up of the thing. It doesn't really, oh wait, no, I actually was smart. I pulled it back and then brought it up. There we go. And you can see that's three-dimensional, and that's going to look really slick. So I'm super pleased with how the wheels have turned out.